Hey guys, today I want to compare the GoPro Hero 8 Black with your budget-friendly Akaso V50X. Now some of you may be wondering, why am I comparing the $300 top-of-the-line GoPro Hero 8 with the $100 Akaso V50X, which is not even Akaso's flagship action camera. In fact, the Akaso V50 Elite is Akaso's flagship action camera, which is going to have far superior audio and video quality, including added features such as voice control. The reason I wanted to do these two comparisons is because how much the Akaso V50X was praised for its electronic image stabilization. Now, Red Skull, who is a electronics reviewer on YouTube, put three different Akaso action cameras side by side. And across the board, the Akaso V50 Elite, the V50 Pro, we're going to have the better audio and the image quality. However, one thing that the V50X does better than the V50 Elite and the V50 Pro is its electronic image stabilization, as judged by walking condition and running conditions. So I wanted to compare the electronic image stabilization capabilities of these two different action cameras. And to do that, I wanted to stress test them. Meaning, I wanted to take these two cameras up to Mission Peak and then go downhill mountain biking. And what I'll do is I'm going to attach these two cameras on a twin mount. And the twin mount is going to be attached to a chest mount. So let's see how this Akaso V50X stacks up against the ultimate GoPro Hero 8. Here I have the Akaso V50X in my hand, and the camera can shoot 4K videos at up to 30 frames per second. And the optimal level of electronic image stabilization will work at that setting. However, turning on image stabilization on this Akaso V50X will crop your video from 170 degrees to 140 degrees field of view. Now, that may not seem like much, but if you actually look at the video that you took with the image stabilization on, you will notice that a lot of things in your video will be zoomed in, and a lot of the things that you may think you have captured, cut off. So something to keep in mind. Depending on the firmware installed in your Akaso V50X, turning on image stabilization can be a bit confusing. So I like to explain how to navigate the settings to turn on your image stabilization. Now let's first go to the settings by pressing on the settings button here. And then that will give you a list of settings for your video, your camera, and just a general list of settings. On your video settings, you have image stabilization and the gyroscope setting. Turning on just the gyroscope won't do anything to the video. In fact, you will get no electronic image stabilization. Now, if you turn off the gyroscope and turn on only the image stabilization, you will get image stabilization. But the image stabilization you will get is going to be suboptimal. It's not going to be the best performance. In order to get the best performance, you want to turn both the image stabilization on and the gyroscope on. Okay, so now while using this Akaso V50X for a while and taking some underwater videos, I noticed that the videos that I was taking was very shaky, and I knew that I had turned on electronic image stabilization before. So I found out that there is a glitch on this V50X, and by that this is what I mean. If you go to the general settings and then turn on distortion calibration, which reduces the distortion on your images, and then you go back to the camera
so the video settings, you will notice that the image stabilization setting that we had turned on is now off. So if you are flipping back between taking pictures and then taking videos, and you want to have the distortion calibration on, make sure that when you go back to taking your videos with image stabilization, to turn on image stabilization back on. This is very important if you don't want to be disappointed with your videos. Here I have the GoPro Hero 8, and to make the comparison with the Akaso V50X as fair as possible, I wanted to configure the GoPro Hero 8 settings to make it as equivalent as possible to the Akaso V50X. So what I mean by that is on the V50X, I had set the video quality at 4K 30 frames per second. I did the same thing here. Another concern that I had was the focal length. I wanted to make the field of view as equivalent as possible. And after playing around with the GoPro for a while, I noticed that you can get the most equivalent field of view when you set the focal length to linear and then turning the image stabilization boost on. This is what the video looks like between the Akaso V50X on the left and the GoPro Hero 8 on the right. In order to achieve a focal length as equivalent as possible to the Akaso V50X, I think the fact that I had to turn on the Hyper Boost is a good outcome because it allows us to compare the V50X image stabilization with the best possible image stabilization setting on the GoPro Hero 8.
Hey, so I wanted to apologize for the way in which the video was shot. I did not intend the video to be shot looking downwards. In fact, I wanted the video to be shot forwards like this. Now the reason this happened is because when you put these two action cameras on a dual mount and then attach it to the chest mount, it's going to get so heavy that it's going to stretch the elastic on the chest mount and the chest piece is going to droop forward. That's why the video was taken unintentionally in the way it was taken.
Now, before going into this comparison between V50X and the GoPro Hero 8 and looking at other reviews of the V50X image stabilization performance, my expectation was pretty high for the V50X. But the two videos clearly show what really the GoPro Hero 8 is capable of with its Hypersmooth 2.0. Now, in very rocky and shaky conditions, yeah, GoPro Hero 8 is going to have the far better image stabilization. But V50X in general, you know, it's not too bad. In the most rocky conditions, it's going to shake and be jerky. But, you know, if you're not doing anything too extreme, if you're on relatively flat surface or gravel, V50X is going to do its job. Thank you. Yeah, it's going. Sorry about that.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you.